Hello everyone, I am Miguel Ryan Nelson Vito from MC1101A, and for our COM 165 class, we were told to do two informative speeches. Right now, I will be presenting my second informative speech entitled Understanding Sex and Gender. The specific purpose of this speech is to inform my audience to understand the difference between gender and sex. The central idea of this speech are the benefits of understanding gender and sex, and the method of organization that I will use is topical order. The first point is, what is sex? According to conventional social belief, there are two sexes, male and female. Additionally, you may be aware that some persons are intersex or have a variation in their sexual development called DSD. DSD is a term used to describe chromosomes, anatomical structures, or sex traits that are neither solely male nor female. Some people think that genitalia determines sex. However, DSD sufferers are not included in this criteria. It may also disqualify trans people who are pre-operative or non-operative, meaning they don't want to have bottom surgery. Double X chromosomal carriers are often thought to be female, while XY chromosome carriers are thought to be male. This excludes DSD sufferers who might have various chromosomal arrangements or other variations in sexual maturation. We also prefer to identify testosterone dominance with men and estrogen dominance with women. It's critical to realize that everyone produces both of these hormones. This comprises a wide range of recognizable secondary sex traits. This also applies to breast tissue, vocal range, and facial hair. They are frequently employed to make rapid judgments regarding sex as a result. Regardless of whether a person identifies with the sex they were given at birth, secondary sex traits differ widely. Next, the second point is, what is gender? We've been raised to believe that there are only two genders, men and women. According to them, men are born with the gender allocated to them, while women are born with the gender given to them. Gender, however, is not a factor. A spectrum exists. Non binary is a phrase used to describe a group of people whose gender identities don't fit into the man woman binary. Others self identity as agender, which means they don't identify with a particular gender, or as bigender, which means they sometimes identify as both men and women. The acceptance of third gender, non gendered, and transgender people into society has a long history in many non Western civilizations. This includes the Hijra in South Asian cultures and the Two Spirit people from indigenous American cultures. The third point is, what is the connection between gender and sex? For cisgender individuals, the expectation is that if you are given male at birth, you are a man, and if you are assigned female at birth, then you are a woman. However, the gender that is given to transgender and gender non-conforming people at birth might not match the gender that they identify with. They might identify with a sex other than the one they are given at birth. Gender and sex are frequently distinguished by using phrases like sex is in the pants and gender is in the brain. Although accepting someone for who they truly are is a fantastic starting step, attitudes like this can be damaging to trans people. Trans people's physical, mental, and emotional health may be significantly impacted if they are believed to be the sex given to them at birth rather than the sex they are. For instance, this may make it impossible to access basic requirements like public restrooms as well as essential rights like healthcare. Next point, what are gender identity and gender expression? Gender identification refers to how you understand your gender and how you desire to be perceived by others. Many cisgender individuals immediately appreciate one another's gender identities. Most people treat a typical cisgender male as a man when they come into contact with him. This entails respecting his autonomy and addressing him with the proper pronouns, which are he, him, and his. Treating everyone with this degree of respect is crucial, as we all exhibit what is referred to as gender expression. Many individuals believe that men and women exhibit their gender in opposite ways, masculinely for men and femininely for women. However, gender expression is a spectrum much like gender identity. Although femininity and masculinity are the markers, there are a plethora of places in between that are accessible to everyone. The fifth point is, what are sexuality and sexual expression? Who you have sex with is not an indicator of your sexuality. Your sexual feelings, thoughts, attractions, and behaviors towards other people are all part of your sexuality. Other people can pique your interest in a physical, sexual, or emotional way, and all of those things are aspects of your sexuality. Your sexual orientation is a unique and deeply personal aspect of who you are. It may be a tremendously liberating, thrilling, and fulfilling experience to discover your sexuality. We express our sexuality through a complex process called sexual expression. Sexual expression includes our sentiments in addition to purely sexual acts. Humans do not distinguish between feelings and conducts, particularly sexual behavior. The sixth and final point is the bottom line and the difference between gender and sexual orientation. Your gender identification has virtually little to do with your sexual orientation. It just concerns the people you find attractive. All gender identities have the option of identifying as straight or as falling anywhere along the LGBTQ spectrum. As we've seen, sex and gender are a lot more nuanced than most of us were taught. The most crucial thing to keep in mind is that each person has the right to choose their gender and sex. The finest thing you can do is to respect the sex and gender identity of the people you encounter and treat each individual you meet with attention and care. In conclusion, although there are people out there who are different than us or different than how society tells us to be, it is always a good idea to treat everyone with the same amount of love and respect.